Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Brendan Lester Fishing. What I want to do today is recap the St. Lawrence River Bassmaster Elite Series we had a little over a week ago. Man, just an awesome event. We definitely set records with the weights and man, it was just the most phenomenal smallmouth event. One of the best events that I can remember in my whole career as far as weather, the way the fish bit. 102 pounds of smallmouth is what it took to win a 4-day event. So over a 25-pound average per day. Pretty incredible event. So let's talk about how I caught what I caught. Y'all stay tuned. All right, so jumping right into it, it's no secret that anytime you go to a smallmouth body of water like the St. Lawrence River, a drop shot's gonna be a big key. That's how I caught a lot of my fish. We'll dive into that. I'll show you my drop shot setup that I'm using these days. And then I had another key little bait, a little small tube. We'll talk some more about that. But just to give you a little bit of my history on the St. Lawrence River, I've had some good events there. I've made a couple top 10s there in the past. I almost won there, and I think it was 2018. I finished third up there. A great event. You know, sometimes we'll go out of Waddington, which is about, I don't know, 70 or 80 miles up the river from the mouth of the river. Actually, I guess it'd be down the river the way the current flows. Kind of weird the way the current flows there, but sometimes we put in the town of Waddington, which is way up the river or down the river, however you look at it. And then sometimes we put in Clayton. This is the second time that we've put in Clayton, New York, which is only roughly 10-15 miles from the mouth of Lake Ontario. US waters and Canadian waters were available, so tons of water that we could fish. And I knew coming into this event, it's very hard to go back to the same places year after year. This is like the 7th time I've fished an event on the St. Lawrence River, so I knew I wanted to look at something new. I've never really gotten out there in Lake Ontario, really spent the time to learn it. And this is my first time being able to go to Lake Ontario with Lowrance Active Target. I knew that was going to be a game changer. So I spent 2 of my 3 days of practice out on Lake Ontario and had really good days. Those first 2 days of practice had about 23 pounds each day. So I felt good about it. I knew I had some areas that were holding some big fish and was really excited going into the tournament. So day one, I caught a ton of fish. I caught like 30 fish. And I never really landed any really big bites. I had 19 pounds, 10 ounces, which sounds like a great bag. 5 smallmouth, 19-10. Not a great bag on the St. Lawrence River. That's very much average, maybe even below average, because out of 90 guys on the Elite Series that day, there were 61 limits over 20 pounds weighted. So I was in, I think, 68th place with 19 pounds, 10 ounces after the first day. But I knew if I could get like above 22 pounds on day 2, I'd be right back where I needed to be to have a solid event. So day 2, I go out, I land a couple of those 5+ pound bites. I end up catching 24, 15, almost 25 pounds of smallmouth on day 2, rocketed all the way up, back up to 32nd place. And then day 3, I had 20.5 pounds and kept my position. I ended up finishing the tournament 32nd place. Super solid event. Maintained my spot in Bassmaster Angler of the Year. I'm 4th in Angler of the Year, so I'm working on having, you know, just so I catch them in the last 2 events, I could possibly have the best year of my career thus far. So been a great season thus far. Let's talk about how I caught them. The drop shot rig, it definitely a staple. Anytime you go up north, there's no doubt about that. Let's start with rod, reel, line, all that good stuff. I use a 2500 size spinning reel. This is 10-pound vicious no fade braid. As you can see, that's the high vis yellow. Very important to be able to see your line, most definitely. That's why I use that yellow braid. I use 8-pound vicious crystal clear fluorocarbon. This is my first time using that crystal clear. I played around with it a lot during practice. It's a little bit harder line than the Pro Elite, a little bit more abrasive resistant in those zebra mussels and stuff. So that's why I use that 8-pound crystal clear. I tie that with an FG knot. I put about a 10 to 12 foot leader on there. So running a pretty long leader in that super clear water up there. 3/8 ounce Mustad tight neck cylinder, drop shot weight. Size number 4 Mustad tight necks wacky Nico hook. There's a close up of that hook if you guys have never seen that. It's got a little bit longer shank on it than a lot of guys use on a drop shot, and I feel like it hooks those fish a little bit better. And a Max Scent flatworm, Berkeley Max Scent flatworm, the 3.5 inch one. Natural shad was my best color. I caught some on green pumpkin. I caught some on solid black. But that natural shad seemed to be the best color. A lot of those fish were feeding on, of course, gobies, but also some type of bait fish as well. I'm not real sure if it was alewives or glass minnow. I'm not sure what they were. Some kind of shiners it should have been, I'm not sure. But also another bait that I caught a lot of really good fish on was a little bitty tube, a little 2.5 inch tube. I was taking a 1/4 ounce mustad jig head, and this tube is obviously, it's hollow in the end. So all you do is just take that jig head, it's just a mustad round ball head jig head. You stuff it up in that tube and then pop that hook eye out. 1/4 ounce, and that's a 2.5 inch max scent tube. That color I think is called watermelon sapphire, something like that. It's like watermelon seed, and it's got a little bit of blue flake in it. And I think it looked a lot like those little baby gobies that were in the area. There were a lot of gobies in there that were about 3.5 inches long, and I think that's why that worked so well. I was actually able to get some of those big fish to bite that would not bite the drop shot. I could get them to bite that tube. Same exact setup as far as rod, reel, line. Same setup on the tube as I did on the drop shot. That 610, I think I forgot to mention my 610 medium. This is the Mustad Instinct Brandon Lester Signature Series rod. Gosh, this rod is awesome. You can do so many different things with this 6'10" medium. That's the same rod I used at Pickwick on the Nico. I throw shaky heads on it, drop shots, tubes. You can do a lot of different things. Now, I did throw a hair jig a little bit on the 610 medium light. I caught a few fish up shallow, but nothing that I ever weighed. Everything I weighed came on the drop shot or the tube, and I saw every single fish on my Lowrance active target. What I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna roll about 3 or 4 fish catches from day number 2 of the event when I had that big bag. And you can see, you'll be able to see me actually see these fish on active target, cast to them, get those fish to bite and catch them. So y'all check out these catches. I'll be right back to close it out. All right, guys, so that wraps it up. Another solid event. Like I said, we're in fourth going into the last two events of the season. Got a couple of weeks at home. We're getting ready to head back up north and west to South Dakota. Lake Oahe, another smallmouth fishery. Should be a really great event out there. And then we'll wrap up the season the following week at La Crosse, Wisconsin on the upper Mississippi River. So I appreciate all the support this year. Been a great season thus far. I appreciate you guys riding along. Remember all this stuff: rod, reel, line, baits, the little tubes, the flatworms, the mustad hooks, the mustad weights. You can find it all. MidwayUSA.com. And as a matter of fact, if you're an outdoorsman, they got everything you need. Y'all check them out. MidwayUSA.com. I appreciate those guys. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time right here. Brandon Lester Fishing.